Dragon God Supreme Chapter 4251 to Chapter 4264. Humph. Pft. Feng Wuchen snorted coldly as a terrifying aura burst out, instantly causing Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian to spit out blood. The terrifying force sent Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian flying. Feng Wuchen's cold gaze swept across the dark forces, Yen Clan, and Heavenless Old Ancestor. He said coldly, "Whoever wants to save the Heavenly Dao Ancestor, feel free to try." Wherever his terrifying gaze passed, Heavenless Old Ancestor and the others were all scared out of their wits. Feng Wuchen's gaze was too terrifying. Moreover, Feng Wuchen was simply an invincible existence now. They didn't dare to fart. The Heavenly Dao Ancestor had used all his strength and even used the Heavenly Dao Law, but he had ended up seriously injured, let alone them. Heavenly Dao Ancestor, do you have any last words? Feng Wuchen asked coldly. He had to kill the Heavenly Dao Ancestor today. Staring fiercely at Feng Wuchen, the Heavenly Dao Ancestor said angrily, "I never thought that your divine power would be so powerful. In the end, you underestimated me." Feng Wuchen sneered. Feng Wuchen, if it weren't for this divine power, you wouldn't even be an ant in my eyes. The Heavenly Dao Ancestor shouted angrily. His pale face was incomparably ferocious. You're right. Feng Wuchen spread his hands and sneered, with my current peak divine realm cultivation, I'm indeed not even an ant in your eyes. No matter what, you're still the dignified Heavenly Dao Ancestor. Unfortunately, you still fell into my hands. If there's a next life, don't provoke me. Otherwise, I'll kill you again. After hearing Feng Wuchen's words, the seriously injured Heavenly Dao Ancestor exploded in anger. Unfortunately, he was seriously injured and couldn't recover. Otherwise, he might have jumped up and fought with his life. Heavenly Dao Ancestor, go on your way. Feng Wuchen sneered and was about to kill the Heavenly Dao Ancestor with a palm strike. Feng Wuchen, stop. Witch Yan suddenly screamed in panic, tears flowing from her frightened eyes. Witch Yan. Feng Wuchen glanced at them coldly and said, don't worry, none of you can escape today. No one can save you. Feng Wuchen. You killed Heavenly Dao Ancestor, Heavenly Dao Ancestor's master will not forgive you. Yan Witch angrily shouted, using Heavenly Dao Ancestor's master to suppress Feng Wuchen. Then let him come, Feng Wuchen sneered, I can ask him how he teaches his disciples. As soon as he finished speaking, Feng Wuchen did not hesitate to send out a palm strike. Swish, but the moment Feng Wuchen made his move, a terrifying purple energy shot down from the sky. With an ear-piercing sound, it mercilessly blasted towards Feng Wuchen. The divine power of the Way of the Heavens, the people of the Way of the Heavens, they really came. Feng Wuchen frowned slightly, and then waved his hand to shatter the powerful energy that was coming at him. The people of the Way of the Heavens are here. They noticed it so quickly? Heavenly Dao Divine Ancestor frowned in the dark. The people of the Way of the Heavens are here. That's great. We are saved. Heavenless Old Ancestor and Xian Daoshan were overjoyed. The divine power of the Way of the Heavens. Primal Chaos Ancestor and Primal Chaos Mysterious Fire Beast were also shocked. Primal Chaos Ancestor Dragon looked at the void and said solemnly, has the Way of the Heavens been alarmed? Everyone's gaze immediately turned to the void. Buzz buzz. The void of the Primal Chaos realm suddenly shook, and then a 9-colored energy vortex condensed, and 3 terrifying auras spread out. The 3 terrifying auras were similar to Heavenless Old Ancestor. Swish. Swish, 3 figures appeared from the 9-colored vortex in a flash, and a terrifying aura swept out with earth-shattering momentum. You've got guts. You want to kill Heavenly Dao Ancestor. A middle-aged man in the lead shouted angrily at Feng Wuchen. Feng Wuchen glanced at the 3 of them coldly and asked, are you Heavenly Dao Ancestor's people? Feng Wuchen. They are Heavenly Dao Supreme Master God's people. Heavenly Dao Supreme Master God is the strongest person in the Heavenly Dao. Heavenly Dao Divine Ancestor appeared and said slowly. Heavenly Dao Supreme Master God? Feng Wuchen tilted his head and looked at Heavenly Dao Divine Ancestor. Heavenly Dao Divine Ancestor, so you are also in the Primal Chaos realm. The 3 Heavenly Dao Supreme Masters looked at Heavenly Dao Divine Ancestor with a strange expression. Heavenly Dao Divine Ancestor and Heavenly Dao Ancestor were brothers. Since Heavenly Dao Divine Ancestor was in the Primal Chaos realm, why didn't he do anything? Since you are not Heavenly Tao Ancestors people, don't interfere, Feng Wuchen said coldly. Kid, you dare to go against Heavenly Tao? The man in the lead said coldly. He knew that Feng Wuchen's divine power was terrifying, so he could only use Heavenly Tao to suppress Feng Wuchen. Heavenly Tao Ancestor and them came to the primal chaos realm to behave atrociously. As the Heavenly Tao Supreme Master God's people, you don't care about them and start to care about me first. How ridiculous, Feng Wuchen sneered disdainfully and said, if you dare to say another word of nonsense, I will kill all of you as well. As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying primordial divine power erupted, instantly scaring the three Heavenly Tao Supreme Masters. The man in the lead wanted to say something, but he was stopped by the two people behind him. The Supreme Master God said not to provoke him. We can't afford to, one of them said softly with a panicked expression. The other man said softly, this is Heavenly Tao Ancestors' matter. Let them settle it themselves. Since Feng Wuchen doesn't give them face, let him be. The Supreme Master God also told us not to interfere. They thought that by mentioning the Heavenly Tao Supreme Master God, they might be able to deter Feng Wuchen. However, they didn't expect that Feng Wuchen didn't take it seriously at all. If Feng Wuchen didn't give them face, they wouldn't dare to do anything. The primordial divine power was terrifying. Heavenly Tao Ancestor couldn't do anything even with Heavenly Tao laws, so they couldn't do anything to Feng Wuchen. God-fiend Patriarch, show yourself. You can avenge your master with your own hands, Feng Wuchen said calmly. Thank you. The God-fiend Patriarch appeared and bowed to Feng Wuchen with cupped fists. God-fiend Patriarch? Tao Ancestor Jiao Xian and the others' expressions changed drastically as they looked at the God-fiend Patriarch. Avenge? The Shadow Demon Patriarch was stunned, but he quickly reacted and glanced at Heavenly Tao Ancestor. The God-fiend Patriarch looked at the heavily injured Heavenly Tao Ancestor and said angrily, Heavenly Tao Ancestor, you killed my master, Celestial Fiend Patriarch, and then framed Heavenly Tao Ancestor, right? That's right. It was me who killed Celestial Fiend Patriarch, Heavenly Tao Ancestor said darkly as he glanced at the God-fiend Patriarch. What? Heavenly Tao Ancestor killed Celestial Fiend Patriarch? The Shadow Demon Patriarch's expression changed drastically. The Dark Forces experts were all shocked. Celestial Fiend Patriarch was killed by Heavenly Tao Ancestor. You really did it personally to help Tao Ancestor Jiao Xian become the master of all realms, Feng Wuchen mocked. Very well. Since you admit it, I'll avenge my master with my own hands today. The God-fiend Patriarch clenched his teeth and said angrily. A terrifying dark force condensed in his palm and attacked Heavenly Tao Ancestor fiercely. The Fiend God Patriarch attacked mercilessly and directly smashed the Heavenly Tao Patriarch's head. Fiend God Patriarch. Stop. Tao Ancestor Jiaoshuan roared in panic. Tao Ancestor Jiaoshuan wanted to stop him, but he was too late. Heavenless Patriarch and Xian Daoshan were scared out of their wits and didn't dare to make a move. The three experts from the Heavenly Tao were just watching a show. They didn't care about anyone's life or death. The Heavenly Tao Divine Ancestor didn't want to interfere. He didn't care about the Heavenly Tao Patriarch's life or death. After all, the Heavenly Tao Patriarch had brought this upon himself. Besides, the Heavenly Tao Divine Ancestor couldn't interfere. He couldn't withstand Feng Wuchen's primordial divine might. Fiend God Patriarch, you want to kill me? The heavily injured Heavenly Tao Patriarch said fiercely, his eyes full of disdain. With that, the heavily injured Heavenly Tao Patriarch suddenly met the attack with a palm. And it was a palm without any divine power at all. Boom. Buzz. After a fierce clash, the heavily injured Patriarch Heavenly Tao sent the Fiend God Patriarch flying with a single palm strike. The heavily injured Heavenly Tao Patriarch also retreated a few steps. What powerful brute force! The Fiend God Patriarch was shocked. He couldn't believe that he couldn't defeat the heavily injured Heavenly Tao Patriarch. The ferocious clash of palms nearly caused the Fiend God Patriarch to vomit blood. One had to know that the Heavenly Tao Patriarch was heavily injured. I almost forgot, Feng Wuchen said with a cold smile. The Heavenly Path Ancestral Master's physical body is very strong. Even if he is seriously injured and his divine power is suppressed, his physical strength is still there. It seems that I still have to do it. The fiend god patriarch cupped his fists respectfully. Thank you. The heavenly Tao ancestor glared at Feng Wuchen fiercely. I don't believe you have the guts to do that. Boom. Pfft. The moment the heavenly Tao patriarch finished speaking, there was a sudden explosion. He spat out blood and flew out like a cannonball. I'll make you believe it soon. Feng Wuchen sneered, his eyes flashing with killing intent. Boom. Pooh. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure flashed again, and a tyrannical punch landed on the heavenly Tao ancestral master's chest, once again causing him to spit out blood. Boom boom boom. Feng Wuchen attacked crazily. His figure flickered unceasingly. His speed was extremely fast. He launched a ferocious bombardment on the heavenly Tao ancestral master. The sound of explosions was incessant. The heavenly Tao ancestral master was flying around in the void. He was completely beaten like a rubber ball. He had no strength to fight back. Master. Tao ancestor Jiao Xian trembled in fear as he watched everything. Heavenly Tao ancestral master. Wu Jian's face was filled with fear and despair. Old ancestor Wu Tian and Xian Daoshan were so terrified that their minds went blank and their bodies shook violently. The experts of the dark forces and the flame race saw that the heavenly path ancestral master could not fight back. Their faces were filled with fear and despair. They had completely given up. Heavenly Tao ancestral master, how much longer can your body last? Now you know whether I have the guts to kill you or not, right? Feng Wuchen asked with a cold smile. His attacks became even more ferocious. The heavily injured heavenly Tao ancestral master could not withstand Feng Wuchen's violent bombardment. His already weak aura was getting weaker and weaker. He could not sense it at all. What? You still want to wait for your master to save you? Feng Wuchen sneered disdainfully. I don't believe that your master will save you. Even if he comes and pleads for you, I will still kill you. Even if the heavenly Tao ancestral master's master came, Feng Wuchen would not give him face. Even the heavenly Tao law could not do anything to Feng Wuchen. So what if the heavenly Tao ancestral master's master came? Feng Wuchen glanced at the three heavenly Tao experts. Feng Wuchen sneered again. Or do you want to wait for the heavenly Tao experts to save you? For example, the heavenly Tao supreme master god? However, I don't think he would dare to save you. You have come to the chaos realm as a heavenly Tao expert to bully the weak. If he dares to save you, I will definitely kill him to the heavenly Tao. Feng Wuchen, how dare you? How dare you insult the heavenly Tao supreme master god? The heavily injured heavenly Tao ancestral master said gloomily. I didn't insult him. I was just telling the truth. Of course, as long as he comes to save you, you can also understand it as an insult. Feng Wuchen sneered. Probably only Feng Wuchen would dare to say such crazy words. Boom. 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 Feng Wuchen's bombardment became crazier and crazier, and his divine power became more and more terrifying. The explosions were endless, and finally, the heavenly Tao ancestral master's body was shattered into pieces, leaving only a wisp of his soul. That's right. The heavenly Tao ancestral master's powerful body was completely shattered by Feng Wuchen. Seeing this scene, everyone present, including the heavenly Tao's divine ancestor, was dumbfounded. Everyone looked at the heavenly Tao ancestral master's illusory soul in horror. The dignified heavenly Tao ancestral master had fallen to such a tragic end. Seeing that the heavenly Tao ancestral master was about to be killed by Feng Wuchen, no expert from the heavenly Tao ancestral master appeared, and the heavenly Tao ancestral master's master did not appear either. Heavenly Tao ancestral master, it seems that no one will come to save you. Feng Wuchen sneered mockingly. Then, he urged the ancestor of soul to grab the heavenly path ancestral master's soul. Feng Wuchen, what are you trying to do? The heavenly Tao ancestral master panicked and was completely afraid. Seeing the heavenly Tao ancestral master's panicked appearance, Feng Wuchen sneered and said, Heavenly Tao ancestral master, didn't you just say that I don't have the guts to kill you? Why are you afraid now? Is the dignified heavenly Tao ancestral master afraid? Is he afraid of death? It's really unbelievable. In front of the tyrannical and terrifying ancestor of soul power, the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's soul could not break free. Bang! With a thought, the Ancestor of Fire was activated. The tyrannical and terrifying Divine Flame aura swept out with an earth-shattering aura. Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master, I won't talk nonsense with you. Feng Wuchen sneered and then flicked his finger. A wisp of divine flame flew towards the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master. Feng Wuchen, stop. Stop it. Do you really want to kill me? Ah. Stop. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master became more and more panicked. At this moment, he was so regretful that his intestines turned green. Under the burning and devouring of the Ancestor of Fire, the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master suddenly screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Feng Wuchen, stop. Feng Wuchen. Stop. Tao Ancestor Jiao Xian and Demoness Yan roared crazily. Heavenless Old Ancestor and Xian Daoshan were completely scared out of their wits. Their bodies trembled and no longer listened to their orders. Junior brother, hurry up and save me. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master screamed in panic. Senior brother, you only have yourself to blame. You shouldn't have interfered in the matters of the chaotic realm, and you shouldn't have used the Heavenly Tao Law. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master shook his head slightly. You are a fellow disciple of the same sect, but you don't save him. Master. Save me. Save me. Ah. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master screamed in horror. I said that even if he comes, he won't be able to save you. Feng Wuchen sneered. Ah. The pain caused by the Heavenly Tao Fire Ancestors devouring caused the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master to constantly scream. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master wasn't an alchemist, so he didn't have a powerful soul. He couldn't withstand the Heavenly Tao Fire Ancestors devouring. Gulp. The miserable and painful screams caused the experts of the various forces present to swallow their saliva in fear. The Heavenly Tao Fire Ancestor was mercilessly devouring the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's soul. Even if they weren't alchemists, seeing the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's soul becoming more and more transparent, they could guess that the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master was about to be annihilated. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's soul is getting weaker and weaker. It looks like the Heavenly Tao experts and his master won't save him, said Zhuge Qingfeng with a frown. It's best if they don't do anything. Let's end this battle as soon as possible, said the ancient Heavenly Emperor gravely. He was truly worried that someone would come to save the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master. The soul-devouring dragon fiercely said, Grand Elder is right. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master deserves to die. How would they dare to do anything? Just as the young palace master said, even if they came, they wouldn't be able to save the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master. Even the Heavenly Tao's laws couldn't do anything to such a terrifying existence. Which Heavenly Tao expert would dare to do anything? Did they not want to live anymore? Feng Wuchen. Stop it. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master roared in extreme fear. The endless pain his soul was enduring caused him to constantly scream. These heart-palpitating screams were enough for everyone present to imagine how much pain the owner of the voice was enduring. Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master, I told you before that you would definitely regret it. Unfortunately, it's already too late, said Feng Wuchen with a sneer. Today, the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master would definitely die. Master. Save me. Master. I beg you, please save me. Cried the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master in despair. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master helplessly sighed and shook his head. Aren't you people of the Heavenly Tao Sovereign Master God? Aren't you here to stop Feng Wuchen? Hurry up and ask the Heavenly Tao Sovereign to take action. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master roared furiously at the three Heavenly Tao experts. Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master, what you said is indeed correct. We are indeed here under orders to stop you and bring you back to be punished at the same time. However, the Supreme Master God has said that if Feng Wuchen does not give him face and wants to kill you, then forget it. We will not interfere, the man in the lead said as he spread out his hands. He even cast a wary glance at Feng Wuchen. As soon as the leader said this, everyone present was dumbfounded. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master was so stunned that he forgot to scream. Even Feng Wuchen himself was somewhat dumbfounded. What did he mean by it was fine if Feng Wuchen didn't give him face, as long as one was not a fool? One could tell from these words that even the Heavenly Tao Supreme Chief God was afraid of Feng Wuchen. Forget it? How could this be? Patriarch Heavenless and Patriarch Monster Kuan felt their hearts shatter. Tao Ancestor Jiao Xian and Wei Qian were speechless. They were in utter despair. The Heavenly Tao had given up on the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master. If the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's master did not intervene, the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master would definitely die. Did I hear wrongly? When he said this, why does it feel like the Heavenly Tao Supreme Chief God is also afraid of the Supreme Master? Jianqiu said in a daze. Lu Qingyang nodded in a daze and said, that's what I heard too. The Heavenly Tao Supreme Chief God is also afraid of Feng Wuchen? The Chaos Xian Fire Beast was dumbfounded. That should be it. The Chaos Patriarch nodded coldly. The fear in his heart could no longer be described with words. To think that even the Heavenly Tao Supreme Chief God was afraid of Feng Wuchen. The dumbfounded experts of the various major forces suddenly burst into an uproar. The Dragon Soul and the Chaos Temple cheered in ecstasy. The Dark Forces and the Flame Race were terrified and in despair. Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master, it seems like the Heavenly Tao Supreme Chief God has never thought of saving you. Feng Wuchen sneered mockingly and said, you have seriously violated the rules of the Heavenly Tao by interfering with the Chaos Realm and using the Heavenly Tao Law. If I want to kill you now, the Heavenly Tao will agree. The leader's words undoubtedly changed Feng Wuchen's view of the Heavenly Tao. At least not everyone in the Heavenly Tao was the same as the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master. Ah. Feng Wuchen, stop. I don't want to die yet. Feng Wuchen. Stop it. I'll do anything you want me to do. Stop it now. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master roared in fear. The aura of his soul body had reached its weakest point, and his soul could dissipate at any time. The Heavenly Tao had already given up on him. This caused the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's psychological defenses to collapse. You don't have the right, and you don't deserve it. Does the Celestial Fiend Ancestor want to die? Didn't you kill him in the end? Do the people you killed also want to die? Feng Wuchen replied mercilessly. With that, Feng Wuchen unleashed an even more terrifying Heavenly Tao Fire Ancestor. The golden flames that swallowed the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master instantly doubled in size. Ah! Feng Wu! The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master screamed in fear and despair. In the end, he was completely turned into ashes by the Heavenly Tao Fire Ancestor. Even when his soul dissipated, the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master didn't see anyone come to save him. Clearly, it wasn't just the Heavenly Tao that had given up on him. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's master had also given up on him. In other words, they didn't want to be enemies with Feng Wuchen, much less provoke Feng Wuchen. The space was dead silent. Everyone stared at the void in a daze. Tao Ancestor Jiao Xian, Demoness Yan, and the others had completely turned into vegetative people. Their bodies were motionless, and their eyes were filled with endless fear and despair. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's aura had completely disappeared, and his soul had completely dissipated. All of this felt like a dream. Even though they had seen the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master being killed with their own eyes, they still couldn't believe it. Master's soul has dissipated. Tao Ancestor Jiao Xian said in horror. His heart was filled with grief and despair. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master is dead. Demoness Yan shed tears of grief as the fear in her heart grew stronger. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master is dead. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master is dead. We're dead for sure. No one will come to save us. Patriarch Monster Kuan said in horror as if he was a puppet. That's great. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master is dead. His soul has dissipated. Haha. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's soul has dissipated. His aura has completely disappeared. Supremacy has killed the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master. The experts of the Dragon Soul and the Chaos Temple all roared in joy as if they were celebrating a victory in a great battle. The Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master's soul had dissipated. This meant that they had already won this battle. Feng Wuchen, the Sovereign God, said that the Heavenly Tao doesn't want to be enemies with you. The Heavenly Tao welcomes you at any time. The Sovereign God admires you very much and hopes that you will head to the Heavenly Tao as soon as possible. Farewell. the man in the lead suddenly said to Feng Wuchen. With that said, the three of them left in a flash without even looking at Patriarch Wutian and the others. The words of the man in the lead were like countless heavy bombs exploding wildly in everyone's ears, leaving them charred on the outside and tender on the inside. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian, Patriarch Wutian, it's your turn now. I don't think anyone will come to save you anymore. Feng Wuchen laughed coldly. End of chapter. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xuan's face was pale, and his eyes were dim. He had given up resisting. Wuqian was still in pain and fear. She knew very well that the Yan tribe was finished. Old Ancestor Wutian and the other Path of Heaven experts trembled in fear. Their pale faces trembled with fear. Feng Wuchen, spare my life. I'll kowtow to you. Old Ancestor Yaokuan knelt down and begged for mercy. Spare my life. Old Ancestor Soulbreaker also knelt down and begged. He was so terrified that he didn't know what to say. Spare your life? The corners of Feng Wuchen's mouth curled into a wisp of disdain, and then he sneered. A dignified heavenly Dao expert is actually kowtowing and begging for mercy because of fear of death. You've completely disgraced the heavenly Dao. Even the heavenly Dao ancestral master was no match for Feng Wuchen and ended up with his soul scattered. Even the heavenly path Lord God didn't dare to offend Feng Wuchen, and the heavenly path ancestral master didn't dare to attack. If they didn't kowtow and beg for mercy, they would die. Of course, kowtowing and begging for mercy might not let them live. I'm curious. What made you think I'd spare you if you kowtowed and begged for mercy? Feng Wuchen asked with a cold smile. As soon as Feng Wuchen said that, old Ancestor Wutian and the other heavenly path elites were in complete despair. They could feel the strong aura of death. Old Ancestor Wutian and Xian Daoshan were terrified, and their eyes were filled with resignation. They knew that Feng Wuchen wouldn't let them go. Old Ancestor Yaokuan, you injured my disciple with a sneak attack. Xian Daoshan, you killed my favorite disciple. You too will die today. Even the heavenly path Lord God won't be able to save you. Feng Wuchen said coldly as his cold killing intent swept out. Xian Daoshan didn't say anything. His face was filled with despair. Terrifying primordial godly accumulation was activated and formed 5 energy claws. They instantly controlled Xian Daoshan and old Ancestor Yaokuan and lifted them up. As long as Feng Wuchen exerted a little force, he could easily kill them. Feng Wuchen, please spare us. You can't blame us for this. The Heavens Will Ancestral Master used the Heavens Will Medallion to force us to do this. We didn't dare to go against the Heavens Will Medallion at all. Old Master Monster Kuan cried out in fear as he kowtowed madly. That's right. We're doing this because of the Heavenly Dao token. Feng Wuchen, we have no choice but to follow your orders, Patriarch Soulbreaker said in horror. Heavenly Dao order? Feng Wuchen frowned slightly. He looked at the Primal Chaos Ancestor and asked, Primal Chaos Ancestor, who does the Heavenly Law token belong to? Why is it in the hands of the Heavenly Dao Patriarch? I'm not sure either. The Primal Chaos Ancestor shook his head. He had never been to the Heavenly Dao and did not know much about it. Naturally, he did not know who the Heavenly Dao token belonged to. However, everyone present could guess that it had something to do with the Heavenly Dao Supreme Master God. Feng Wuchen. The Heavens Will Medallion belongs to the Heavenly Dao Supreme Master God. The Heavens Will Ancestral Master gave me a Heavens Will Medallion back then, Old Master God replied. The Heavenly Dao Supreme Master God? Feng Wuchen frowned once more before asking, is this an order from the Heavens Will Ancestral Master or the Heavenly Dao Supreme Master God? It should be the Heavens Will Ancestral Master. The Heavenly Dao Supreme Master God should not know about this. The reason why the Heavens Will Ancestral Master obtained the Heavens Will Medallion should have something to do with his master, Old Master God replied. Is that so, Holy Ancestor? Feng Wuchen looked at the Holy Ancestor. The Holy Ancestor nodded his head. Master has an extraordinary position in the Heaven's Will. It's not strange for him to obtain the Heaven's Will Medallion. It's just that Master did not expect that the Heavens Will Ancestral Master would use the Heavens Will Medallion to deal with the Primal Chaos world. Feng Wuchen, it really has nothing to do with us. The Heavens Will Ancestral Master forced us to do this. Please spare us. We're willing to do whatever you want us to do, Old Master Yao Kun said in horror. You really want to do whatever I want you to do? Feng Wuchen asked with a cold smile. That's right. Just give us your orders. Old Master Yao Kun and Old Master Pahan nodded their heads excitedly as though they had seen hope. Then you can go to hell. Feng Wuchen sneered, even if it's because of the Heavenswell medallion, you won't dare to touch my disciple. What? Old Master Yao Kun and Old Master Pahan's expressions changed drastically. They thought that Feng Wuchen would really give them a chance, but they did not expect that Feng Wuchen would ask them to die. Boom. Boom. Before Old Master Yao Kun and Old Master Pahan could open their mouths to beg for mercy, the terrifying primordial god accumulation had already destroyed them completely, turning them into ashes. Gulp, the experts of the various factions swallowed their saliva in fear once again as their bodies trembled violently, unable to say a word. Xian Daoshan, it's your turn. You don't deserve to have the chaos spirit. Feng Wuchen sneered as the ancestor of the soul force burst out. Feng Wuchen grabbed the air and forcefully absorbed the chaos spirit that Xian Daoshan had devoured. Xian Daoshan did not resist and allowed Feng Wuchen to devour the chaos spirit. Even if Xian Daoshan resisted, it would be meaningless. Little Zhang. Feng Wuchen waved his hand and threw the chaos spirit that he had devoured to Zhang Junlan. Thank you, Master. Zhang Junlan thanked him respectfully. Xian Daoshan, do you have any last words? Feng Wuchen asked coldly. I have nothing to say. You can kill me or torture me as you wish. Xian Daoshan said dispiritedly, his dim eyes filled with despair. Humph. You're a straightforward person. Then I'll give you a quick death. Feng Wuchen sneered. The ancestor of the soul force showed no mercy. Boom. The domineering ancestor of the soul force struck Xian Daoshan's soul body mercilessly. With a boom, Xian Daoshan's soul body was shattered. Xian Daoshan's body fell faster. Another heavenly path overlord had fallen. Looking at Ancestral Patriarch Wu Tian and Ancestral Patriarch Shadow Demon, Feng Wuchen sneered and asked, what about you? Any last words? If not, then you can die in peace. Ancestral Patriarch Wu Tian also wanted to beg for mercy, but he knew it was impossible. He could only resign himself to fate. Feng Wuchen, please spare my life. I only wanted to avenge Ancestral Patriarch Sky Fiend. I didn't know it was the Ancestral Patriarch of the Heavenly Path who killed Ancestral Patriarch Sky Fiend. Ancestral Patriarch Shadow Demon trembled in fear and looked at Ancestral Patriarch God Demon. Feng Wuchen. Ancestral Patriarch God Demon wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Feng Wuchen. Ancestral Patriarch God Demon, I don't care who killed Ancestral Patriarch Sky Fiend, but the Dark Faction is still the Dark Faction. I gave them a chance, but they didn't cherish it. I gave you a chance, but it doesn't mean I'll give them another chance, Feng Wuchen said expressionlessly. Ancestral Patriarch God Demon fell silent. Since you have no last words, then be on your way. Feng Wuchen said coldly. He bent his hand and a terrifying energy claw crushed Ancestral Patriarch Wu Tian and Ancestral Patriarch Shadow Demon, turning them into two clouds of bloody mist. All 5 Heavenly Path Overlords were dead. What about you, Ancestral Patriarch Jiuxuan? Don't you have any last words? Feng Wuchen sneered and looked at Ancestral Patriarch Jiuxuan coldly. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian could already feel the strong aura of death. Feng Wuchen's words were like a sharp knife that pierced Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian's heart, causing it to stop beating. The Heavenly Dao Ancestral Master was dead, and the heavily injured Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian could not escape. The Heavenless Patriarch and the other Heavenly Dao experts had also been killed. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian's backers had all fallen. At this moment, no one could save Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian. The dark forces and the experts of the Yan clan were inferior to ants in front of Feng Wuchen. Feng Wuchen, lead Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian to me. I'm from the same sect as him. Let him die with dignity, the Chaos Patriarch suddenly said and then flashed to Feng Wuchen. Feng Wuchen glanced at the Chaos Patriarch and nodded with a smile. Okay. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian was already seriously injured and could not be a match for the Chaos Patriarch. Moreover, the Chaos Patriarch's Chaos Divine power had been strengthened. Chaos Patriarch. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian looked at the Chaos Patriarch in horror. Looking at the terrified Dao Ancestor Jiao Xuan, the Primal Chaos Patriarch said gravely, Dao Ancestor Jiao Xuan, no matter what you've done over the years, I haven't killed you on account of our relationship as fellow disciples. However, your actions this time are truly unforgivable. Hearing this, Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian's body trembled even more violently. He looked at the Heavenly Dao's Divine Ancestor in horror and knelt down to beg for mercy. Heavenly Dao's Divine Ancestor, please give me a chance on account of my master being your senior brother. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian, you still have the face to beg for mercy at this time? The Chaos Xian Fire Beast said with disdain. You brought this upon yourself. No one can save you today. The Chaos Ancestral Dragon said fiercely. Heavenly Dao's Divine Ancestor, I know my mistake. Please give me a chance to turn over a new leaf. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian knelt down and kowtowed. I won't interfere in your affairs, the Heavenly Dao's Divine Ancestor said ruthlessly without even looking at Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian. The Heavenly Dao's Divine Ancestor did not dare to interfere. Even Heavenly Dao did not dare to be enemies with Feng Wuchen. If Dao Ancestor Jiao Xuan wanted to kill the Primal Chaos Patriarch, the Heavenly Dao's Sacred Ancestor had no reason to protect him. It was already fortunate that the Heavenly Dao's Sacred Ancestor did not personally kill Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian. Despair, intense despair welled up in his heart. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xuan was so desperate that he had nothing to say. He had completely given up. Buzz. The Primal Chaos Patriarch's domineering aura suddenly changed. Primal Chaos Divine Power was activated, and a terrifying aura locked onto Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian, it's time for you to die, the Primal Chaos Ancestor said in a low voice. Terrifying divine power condensed in his palm, and he struck out mercilessly. No. No. Primal Chaos Patriarch, stop. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian cried out in horror. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian could clearly sense how terrifying this divine power was. Even though Dao Ancestor Jiao Xuan was at his peak, he still couldn't withstand the terrifying chaos divine power of the Primal Chaos Patriarch. Unfortunately, at this point, no one could save Dao Ancestor Jiao Xuan. Boom. Buzz. In an instant, there was an explosion. The domineering and terrifying divine power blasted Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian into a cloud of blood mist on the spot and turned him into ashes. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian had fallen. The dark forces and the flame tribe were completely silent. Everyone's eyes were filled with fear and despair. It was an intensity that had never been seen before. The Witch of Flame was extremely terrified. The fear that came from the depths of her soul made it impossible for her to resist. Her body trembled uncontrollably, and tears of fear fell from her eyes. The fear and despair that she had experienced in her entire life wasn't as intense as today. The Heavenly Path. Ancestral Master and Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian were all dead. This undoubtedly pushed the Witch of Flame into a bottomless abyss. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian is dead. Dao Ancestor Jiao Xian is finally dead. He's turned into ashes. Primal Chaos Patriarch. Good kill. The experts of the Dragon's Soul and the Primal Chaos Temple let out explosive cheers once again. Witch of Flame, it's your turn now. If you don't have any last words, I'll let you die a quick death. Feng Wuchen glanced coldly at the Witch of Flame. Hearing Feng Wuchen's bone-chilling voice, the Witch of Flame's body trembled violently. She was scared out of her wits. Feng Wuchen, kill me and let the Flame Tribe go. Give the Flame Tribe a chance. Suppressing the intense fear in her heart, the Witch of Flame said with a trembling voice. A chance to make a comeback, the Primal Chaos Fire Beast shouted angrily. You don't have the right to negotiate with me. Don't even think that the Flame Tribe can survive. The Flame Tribe must be exterminated. None of them will be left alive. Feng Wuchen replied coldly. As he spoke, Feng Wuchen had already formed an energy sword. Whoosh. TCH. Feng Wuchen waved his hand and controlled the energy sword to shoot out. In the blink of an eye, a golden flash pierced through the Witch of Flame's chest. The domineering energy sword shattered the Witch of Flame's soul at the same time. With the soul shattered, the Witch of Flame's aura quickly disappeared. Her corpse fell. The Witch of Flame didn't resist at all. Because resistance was useless in front of Feng Wuchen. Saintus. The Flame Tribe and the Dark Forces looked at this scene in horror. Dragon Soul and all major forces under the Chaos Temple, listen to my orders. Other than the Godly Devil Temple, completely exterminate the Dark Forces and the Flame Tribe. Make them disappear from the Chaos Realm. Feng Wuchen immediately gave the order. Yes, the experts under the Dragon Soul and the Chaos Temple shouted crazily and excitedly. They had been waiting for this moment for too long. Buzz buzz. Waves of terrifying divine power and aura burst out and shook the Chaos Realm. The experts under the Dragon Soul and the Chaos Temple all moved out crazily. The terrifying murderous aura was soul-stirring. After Feng Wuchen gave the order, the Dark Forces, the Flame Tribe, and the experts under Tao Ancestor Jiao Xian all knelt down in horror and gave up resisting. Only the people from the Godly Devil Temple were crying tears of joy. That feeling of happiness was like returning to heaven from hell. Young Master, please spare our lives. Young Master, we know we were wrong. Please spare our lives. Divine Devil Grand Ancestor, save us. Save us. Many experts knelt down and begged for mercy. They regretted it so much that their intestines turned green. Now you know you were wrong? What were you doing earlier? It's too late to beg for mercy now. Young Master has already given you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Now, no one can save you. Die. Today, I'll make you disappear from the Chaos Realm. The experts under the Dragon Soul and the Chaos Temple roared. The Divine Devil Grand Ancestor slowly closed his eyes. There was nothing he could do. TSK TSK TSK. Flame Wind, Demon Shadow, and the rest of the Dark Forces and the Flame Tribe gave up resisting. They were mercilessly killed by the experts under the Dragon Soul and the Chaos Temple as they begged for mercy. In less than a minute, the Dark Forces, the Flame Tribe, and the experts under Tao Ancestor Jiao Xian were all killed. The most terrifying battle in the history of the Chaos Realm was finally over. But at this moment, a bright 9-colored light suddenly descended from the Chaos Realm. The terrifying aura of the heavens spread. Sensing this terrifying heavenly Tao aura, everyone looked at the void in shock at the same time. This was because this terrifying aura was even more terrifying than the Heavenly Tao's Divine Ancestor and Heavenly Tao's Ancestral Master. This person's aura is even stronger than Master. The Primal Chaos Ancestor was shocked. What a terrifying aura. It's much stronger than the Heavenly Tao's Ancestral Master. It's unimaginable. The Chaos Xian Fire Beast was shocked. Why is a Heavenly Tao powerhouse here at this time? The ancient Heavenly Emperor frowned. He was shocked and worried. Supreme Commander, this aura is even more terrifying than the Heavenly Tao's Ancestral Master. Could it be an enemy? Yi Qingyu asked softly. No. Jianqiu shook his head. Even the Heavenly Tao's Supreme Lord doesn't dare to provoke the Supreme Lord, let alone others. Why is a Heavenly Tao powerhouse here in the Chaos Realm? Lu Qingyang and Bai Duyan were puzzled. However, the difference was that this terrifying Heavenly Tao aura did not spread with any divine power. In other words, this person had no ill intentions. After the 9-colored light disappeared, 3 figures appeared in the void. This aura is the Heavenly Tao's guardian. The Heavenly Tao's Divine Ancestor's face changed. He stared at the middle-aged man in the lead with his eyes wide open. Heavenly Tao's guardian. Hearing the Heavenly Tao's Divine Ancestor's words, everyone was shocked. Just by hearing the words guardian, they instinctively guessed that the Heavenly Tao's guardian was definitely a terrifying existence. Feng Wuchen sized up the Heavenly Tao's guardian, and the Heavenly Tao's guardian was also sizing up Feng Wuchen. Heavenly Tao's guardian. The Heavenly Tao's Divine Ancestor immediately cupped his fists and bowed. Divine Ancestor, there's no need to be so polite. The Heavenly Tao's guardian smiled politely. As soon as he finished speaking, the Heavenly Tao's guardian had already appeared a few meters away from Feng Wuchen. Then, he cupped his fists and smiled politely at Feng Wuchen. I'm Heavenly Tao's guardian, Mo Yushan. Feng Wuchen. Feng Wuchen also smiled politely. Then, he asked curiously, Guardian, why are you looking for me? I'm under the Supreme Lord's orders to bring you to the Heavenly Tao, Mo Yushan smiled. As soon as Mo Yushan said that, Dragon Soul and Chaos Temple's members were shocked. The prime god of the Heavenly Tao had actually sent a guardian deity to escort Feng Wuchen to the Heavenly Tao. Just how much face did he have? To think that the guardian of the Heavenly Tao would come and fetch me. The sovereign of the Heavenly Tao really thinks highly of me, Feng Wuchen said with a smile, feeling slightly surprised. Feng Wuchen, because of the Heaven's Way Grandmaster this time around, the Chaos World has suffered a devastating attack. Therefore, the Supreme Master God has specially ordered me to come forth and raise the Tao connotation of the Chaos World by 3 times so that Supreme God Cultivation states can sense the Tao connotation as soon as possible. Mo Yushan smiled courteously. He then waved his hand and a horrifying Tao connotation spread out instantly. An enormous amount of Taoist connotation spread throughout the Chaos Realm at an astonishing speed. Taoist connotation! The primal Chaos Ancestor exclaimed. Is this Taoist connotation? This seat sensed it. The Chaos Mysterious Fire Beast cried out in surprise. The Supreme Master God is really generous. In order to express his goodwill to Feng Wuchen, he actually made an exception and raised the Tao connotation of the Chaos World by 3 times. The Divine Ancestor of the Heavenly Tao was extremely shocked. 3 times the Tao connotation? Feng Wuchen smiled in surprise. Then, I really need more Supreme Master Gods. However, I appreciate the good intentions of heading to the Heavenly Tao. Feng Wuchen, the Supreme Master God has already conferred upon you the title of Heavenly Tao Saint God. Your position in the Heavenly Tao is only second to one and above all. You are now the Heavenly Tao Saint God, Mo Yushan said respectfully. His attitude instantly became extremely respectful. Greetings, Heavenly Tao Saint God. The 2 Heavenly Tao experts behind him immediately cupped their fists and bowed respectfully. Heavenly Tao Saint God? Feng Wuchen was surprised once again. He was somewhat in disbelief. From Mo Yushan's words, he could tell that the Supreme Master God of the Heavenly Tao had the intention of roping in Feng Wuchen. Heavenly Tao Saint God? Under the heavens, above all? It can't be, right? The Supreme Master hasn't even gone to the Heavenly Tao, and he's already conferred the title of Heavenly Tao Saint God? Dragon Soul, the Chaos Temple, and the Chaos Divine Nation couldn't help but exclaim in shock. Their faces were filled with extreme shock. We appreciate the Supreme Master God's good intentions. Just as everyone was in shock, Xianxia's soft laughter suddenly rang out. As the voice rang out, an extremely terrifying and domineering divine power aura swept out wildly with earth-shattering might. My wife. Feng Wuchen was instantly overjoyed. That's great. My wife has succeeded. This divine power is exactly the same as Feng Wuchen's divine power. How can there be 2 people in the Chaos Realm with such terrifying divine power? Mo Yushan was terrified, and cold sweat broke out on his back. The 2 Heavenly Tao experts who came with Mo Yushan were also frightened out of their wits. Their faces were pale and bloodless. Primordial godly accumulation. The Heavenly Tao's Divine Ancestor and the Chaos Ancestor exclaimed in unison. Their eyeballs were about to fly out. Lu Qingyang's eyes widened, and he said in disbelief, what kind of joke is this? Xiao also has primordial godly accumulation. Her cultivation has even risen to 3rd level Chaos Heavenly Venerate. How is this possible? Qiu Tian, Jian Chou, and the others were all dumbfounded. My lord's wife. 3rd level Chaos Heavenly Venerate. How is this possible? My lord's wife also has the Lord's primordial godly accumulation. Dragon Soul and the Chaos Temple's experts instantly burst into an uproar. In the void above, Xiaoxia's beautiful figure appeared before Feng Wuchen. The terrifying and domineering aura emanating from Xiaoxia's body was primordial godly accumulation. Moreover, Xiaoxia's cultivation had also broken through to 3rd level Chaos Heavenly Venerate. My wife is indeed amazing. You really succeeded. Feng Wuchen was extremely excited. Thank you, my husband. Without your help, I wouldn't have succeeded so smoothly, and my cultivation wouldn't have risen so much. Xiaoxia smiled happily, and her beautiful face revealed a sweet smile. Feng Wuchen carefully sensed and smiled happily. My wife is really amazing. Your divine power has completely merged with the primordial godly accumulation so quickly. In the future, you can also rely on your Taoist accumulation to raise your cultivation. You will definitely be able to break through to the Paragon God realm soon. The primordial godly accumulation didn't reject my divine power, so it went smoothly. Ling Xiaoxiao smiled. Guardian deity, this is my wife. We still have important matters to attend to, so we won't consider the trip to the heavenly Tao for now. Sorry to have made you come in vain. Feng Wuchen smiled politely. I'm really sorry. Ling Xiaoxiao smiled softly. Mo Yushan woke up abruptly, and hurriedly cupped his fists respectfully. It's okay. The Xing deity and Madame Xing deity can go to the heavenly Tao whenever you want. Mo Yushan became extremely respectful at this moment. He was completely shocked, and the fear in his heart couldn't be resisted. Xing deity, the 3 times Taoist accumulation has been distributed to various parts of the chaos world. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first. Mo Yushan said respectfully. You can go back. Also, help me thank the Paragon Master God of the Heavenly Tao. Feng Wuchen smiled faintly. Yes. I will take my leave. Mo Yushan said respectfully, and the 3 of them immediately disappeared. It's too scary. To think that Madame Xingshan also possesses such terrifying divine power. She's merely a stage 3 chaos heavenly venerate, yet she's able to make me feel endless fear. After returning to the heavenly Tao, the heavenly Tao's guardian could not help but speak in horror. His face was extremely pale, and his body could not help but tremble. Lord Guardian, with such terrifying divine power, if they were to come to the heavenly Tao in the future, wouldn't they surpass the Supreme Master Gods? One of them asked in horror. Not to mention the future, even the Supreme Master Gods would not dare to provoke Feng Wuchen now that he possesses such terrifying divine power, another person said in horror. Feng Wuchen is definitely not to be provoked. Go back and report to the Supreme Master Gods immediately. Feng Wuchen's wife also possesses such terrifying divine power. The guardian said in horror. Feng Wuchen alone was already terrifying enough, let alone Ling Xiaoxiao. What the Heavenly Tao's guardian did not know was that the Supreme Master Gods and the upper echelons in the Heavenly Tao Shrine were currently filled with shock and horror. Clearly, they already knew that Ling Xiaoxiao also possessed the primordial god accumulation. I've cultivated for so many years, yet I've never obtained the primordial god accumulation. Even with the Supreme Tao accumulation, I can't obtain such terrifying divine power, the Supreme Master God said in horror. Even if he also possessed the primordial god accumulation, he did not have the guts to forcefully fuse with it. As a Supreme Master God of the Heavenly Tao, he was well aware of how terrifying the primordial god accumulation was. Even he, a Supreme Master God of the Heavenly Tao with an incomparably powerful cultivation, was merely an ant in front of the primordial god accumulation. Supreme Master God, it's fortunate that Feng Wuchen did not vent his anger on the Heavenly Tao. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do anything about such terrifying divine power, the First Elder said in horror. The First Elder is right. Feng Wuchen is too terrifying. We can't afford to offend him, the Second Elder was similarly filled with horror. Supreme Master God. When Feng Wuchen comes to Heaven's Way in the future, he'll definitely shake the Supreme Master God's position. There's no one in Heaven's Way who can go against him, a guard said with a worried look on his face. Pass down the order. Spread Feng Wuchen's appearance to every corner of the Heavenly Tao. Let everyone in the Heavenly Tao know that Feng Wuchen is the Heavenly Tao's holy god. Whoever dares to provoke the holy god will be killed without mercy. The sovereign god immediately issued the order. Chaos Realm. With the end of the great battle and the Heavenly Tao expressing its goodwill to Feng Wuchen, the powerhouses of the various major powers were all cheering excitedly. Big Brother Feng, what's going on with Xiaoxia's cultivation and divine power? Why does she also have the primordial god aura? Lu Qingyang flashed over and asked anxiously. Sister Xiaoxiao, what's going on? Miao Qingqing asked curiously. Zhang Junlan, Jian Chou, and Qiu Tian also flashed over. They were also very curious as to why Ling Xiaoxiao had the primordial god aura. The birth of the primordial god aura also exceeded my expectations. Feng Wuchen smiled faintly. You've all seen how terrifying the Heavenly Tao Ancestral Master is. I can only forcefully fuse 2 types of divine power. Before the fusion, my wife was cultivating in my domain. If I failed in the fusion, my wife would immediately absorb my divine power. As long as I have the primordial god aura, I'll definitely have a way to deal with the heavenly Tao ancestral master. But I didn't expect that I would actually succeed in the fusion. During the fusion process, I let my wife absorb the divine power origin that was born. Because of this, my wife also has the primordial god aura. Now, she's even fused with the chaos divine power. Hearing this, everyone finally understood. But they were still extremely shocked, and their eyes were filled with envy. The heavenly Tao's divine ancestor and the chaos ancestor were also filled with shock and disbelief. This was the divine power fused with the primordial god aura and supreme Tao aura. Speaking of which, I still have to thank the heavenly Tao ancestral master. Back then, my husband was seriously injured. Only the chaos domain could save me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had a chance. Ling Xiaoxiao smiled happily. After absorbing the divine power origin, my cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. I couldn't control it at all. I only stopped when I broke through to the third level primal chaos heavenly venerate. I'm so envious. When can we break through to the primal chaos heavenly venerate realm? Lu Qingyang's face was filled with envy. Don't worry. With the honorable lord around, do you have to be afraid of not being able to break through to the primal chaos heavenly venerate realm? Jianchou smiled. He wasn't worried about the problem of cultivation improvement at all. Zhang Junlan patted Lu Qingyang's shoulder and smiled. Not to mention the primal chaos heavenly venerate realm, even an honorable god wouldn't be a problem. Xiaoxiao can be considered a blessing in disguise, said the chaos mystical fire beast. Brother Feng, does that mean sister-in-law can also help us strengthen our divine power? Long Xiaoyang asked. Feng Wuchen nodded and smiled. Big brother Xiaoyang is right. My wife can also strengthen your divine power and bloodline power. After saying that, he looked at the heavenly Tao ancestral master and the chaos ancestor. Feng Wuchen smiled faintly. Heavenly Tao's divine ancestor, chaos ancestor, with my wife's divine power, it should be enough, right? The primordial god aura is terrifying. It's beyond my imagination. There shouldn't be a problem. The heavenly Tao's divine ancestor nodded. Feng Wuchen, you have to be prepared. This isn't child's play, said the chaos ancestor solemnly. I know. Don't worry, chaos ancestor. Feng Wuchen smiled confidently. When the time comes, I'll have to trouble the heavenly Tao's divine ancestor to help. The heavenly Tao's divine ancestor smiled faintly. With my divine power, I'm afraid I won't be of much help. Heavenly Tao's divine ancestor is too humble. Feng Wuchen smiled happily. Hearing the conversation between the three of them, everyone was confused. They didn't know what they were talking about, but no one interrupted. After the battle ended, the dragon's soul and the various major factions returned home. After the news spread, Feng Wuchen's might shook the chaos realm, and the dragon god temple became even more famous. The dark forces, Flame Tribe, and Tao ancestor Jiao Xian had been wiped out. The major factions of the chaos realm were cheering wildly. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Feng Wuchen left the dragon god temple with Ling Xiaoxiao and arrived at the chaos temple in a flash. The heavenly Tao's divine ancestor and the chaos ancestor had been waiting for a long time. Greetings, heavenly Tao's divine ancestor, chaos ancestor. Ling Xiaoxiao bowed respectfully. The heavenly Tao's divine ancestor smiled happily. No need to be so polite. Feng Wuchen, have you really decided? The chaos ancestor asked solemnly. Heavenly Tao's divine ancestor, chaos ancestor, I'm ready. We can begin. Feng Wuchen smiled happily. Let's go. The heavenly Tao's divine ancestor waved his hand and disappeared with Feng Wuchen and the other two. Chaos Protector, are the divine ancestor and the others going to the heavenly Tao? The ancient heavenly emperor asked curiously. No. The chaos mysterious fire beast shook his head and said, Feng Wuchen doesn't plan to go to the heavenly Tao. He wants to open up a world. What? The young lord wants to open up a world? The ancient heavenly emperor and Miao Wuhuan were shocked. Their eyes almost popped out. No one would have thought that Feng Wuchen didn't want to go to the heavenly Tao to open up a world, the chaos mysterious fire beast said, "That's right. And it's to open up a world stronger than the heavenly Tao." Boom, when the chaos mysterious fire beast said that, the ancient heavenly emperor and the others' heads exploded. They were shocked again. Feng Wuchen wanted to create a world that was even stronger than the heavenly Tao. With Feng Wuchen's current cultivation, he had yet to reach the heavenly Tao. How could he create a world that surpassed the heavenly Tao? Could he really do it with just the primordial god accumulation? After all, it was not easy to start a new world. The ancient heavenly emperor and the others did not even dare to think about it. Swish! Swish! In the endless space outside the chaos realm, the heavenly Tao ancestral master appeared with Feng Wuchen and the other two. Feng Wuchen, this is the myriad world's dimensional world. It is located above the heavenly Tao. You can feel the heavenly Tao's aura here, said the heavenly Tao's divine ancestor. Looking at the endless stellar dimensional world, Feng Wuchen exclaimed, "There are all kinds of strange things in the world. It's really spectacular. I thought it was the end, but it's actually just the beginning. What a beautiful dimensional world." Xianxia was dumbfounded. The spectacular stellar world could no longer be described with words. "Feng Wuchen, with my cultivation, I won't be able to last long in this dimensional world. I still have to rely on your primordial god accumulation," said the heavenly Tao's divine ancestor. "Feng Wuchen, let's start," said the primal chaos ancestor. "Okay." Feng Wuchen nodded and then looked at Xianxia. Buzz buzz. Feng Wuchen and Xianxia released their primordial god accumulation at the same time. Dazzling golden light flashed and terrifying divine power swept out. Even if it was a dimensional world, the surrounding space shook violently. Feeling the terrifying power of the primordial god accumulation again, the heavenly Tao's divine ancestor and the primal chaos ancestor were still terrified. "Wife, integrate your divine power into my space divine power," Feng Wuchen said as he activated his space divine power. "Okay." Xianxia did as she was told. Buzz buzz. Their primordial god accumulation was forcefully integrated into the space divine power. An even more terrifying divine power spread and rolled. The heavenly Tao below suffered a strong impact and shook violently. The tyrannical and terrifying primordial god aura directly extended to the heavenly law world. What's going on? Was there a war in the heavenly Tao? Which expert is fighting? What kind of divine power is this? How terrifying. It can actually shake the entire heavenly Tao. This terrifying divine power is simply unheard of. For a time, all the top experts of the heavenly Tao were terrified out of their wits by this terrifying primordial divine aura. In the heavenly shrine, the sovereign gods and the upper echelons were also extremely frightened. Their faces were extremely pale. The domineering and terrifying primordial divine aura was filled with a merciless deterrent force and pressure, and it shook the heavenly Tao experts to the point they were practically suffocating. "Supreme Master God, this is Feng Wuchen's primordial god accumulation," the great elder cried out in fear. The Supreme Master God's face was filled with shock and fear. In the face of the primordial god accumulation, both his godly power and supreme Tao accumulation were restrained. "Feng Wuchen wants to deal with our heavenly Tao? What was going on? How could his divine power appear in the heavenly Tao? Didn't the tutelary say that Feng Wuchen wouldn't attack the heavenly Tao? Even the heavenly Tao's laws of nature can't withstand such terrifying divine power. How are we supposed to defend against it? It's over. That damned heavenly Tao ancestral master. He's gotten us all into trouble." Whether it was the upper echelons of the shrine or the shrine experts, all of them were currently in a state of panic. It was as if they were facing a great enemy. Is Feng Wuchen really going to attack the heavenly Tao? The Supreme Master God's heart thumped wildly. An unprecedented sense of fear welled up in him. No, this divine power comes from a dimensional world. After sensing it carefully, the Supreme Master God's expression changed drastically. He was stupefied on the spot. Dimensional world? The upper echelons were also stupefied. Feng Wuchen wants to open up a world. The Supreme Master God's horrified eyes instantly widened to their limits. The Supreme Master God finally understood why Feng Wuchen did not come to the heavenly Tao. Feng Wuchen wanted to open up a world on his own, the status of the heavenly Tao's divine God, who was second only to one and above everyone else, was not something that Feng Wuchen was interested in. While he was shocked and horrified, the Supreme Master God was also completely relieved. At the very least, Feng Wuchen was not going to attack the heavenly Tao. At this moment, Feng Wuchen and Ling Xiaoxiao's primordial god accumulation had already completely fused with the space divine power. The reason why Feng Wuchen had fused the primordial god accumulation with the space divine power was because he wanted to open up a brand new world with extremely strong defenses. Heavenly Tao's divine ancestor, this divine power should suffice, right? Feng Wuchen asked with a smile. The shocked and horrified Heavenly Tao's divine ancestor nodded blankly. It's enough. Feng Wuchen, the world that you're opening up must be maintained by a powerful source of divine power, the primal chaos ancestor reminded him. I understand. Feng Wuchen bent his hand and forcibly compressed the space divine power that had fused with the primordial god accumulation. The terrifying aura soared again. Feng Wuchen closed his eyes. The space around him began to change. In the blink of an eye, Feng Wuchen and the other three had already entered a space that stretched as far as the eye could see. There was nothing in the vast space. Before long, as the divine power spread out, the space suddenly underwent a mystical change. Countless immortal mountains, oceans, lakes, flowers, plants, beasts, and various types of divine power were swiftly born under the effects of the divine power. A brand new world was born just like that. Ling Xiaoxiao looked at this scene in utter shock. Her pretty face was as blank as a wooden chicken. Ling Xiaoxiao was witnessing the birth of a brand new world for the first time. This is the aura of supreme Taoist accumulation and primordial god power. The Heavenly Tao's divine ancestor's face was filled with shock. His body could not help but tremble. Feng Wuchen, you're treating primordial god power and supreme Taoist accumulation as spirit qi, the primal chaos ancestor asked in shock. His old eyes were bulging. Primordial god power and supreme Taoist accumulation were the same as the spirit qi of other worlds. How extravagant was this? That's right. I fused a trace of primordial god power and supreme Taoist accumulation into this world. Feng Wuchen smiled and said, since I want to surpass the heavenly Tao, whether it's divine power or spirit qi, they must be stronger than the heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao's divine ancestor, I'll have to trouble the two of you to help me with what to do next. Next, with the help of the Heavenly Tao's divine ancestor and the primal chaos ancestor, Feng Wuchen completed the division of the world's realms. He condensed the world gate, set up the heavenly tribulation divine power, and finally connected to the heavenly Tao. It's finally done. I'm exhausted. Feng Wuchen let out a deep breath. His divine power was almost exhausted. Husband, you've worked hard. Ling Xiaoxiao smiled happily. Feng Wuchen, your cultivation base can't reach that level of the New World's realm. You can't even reach the Heavenly Tao's realm. The Primal Chaos ancestor frowned and said, when I first created the Primal Chaos realm, I was already at the peak of the Prime God realm. It doesn't matter. You can slowly increase your cultivation base. Feng Wuchen smiled indifferently and said, besides, I'm the one who created the world. I can do whatever I want. Now, I'm also the strongest person in this new world. Husband, what name do you plan to give this world? Ling Xiaoxiao asked. The name of the new world will be Godless Realm. Feng Wuchen smiled faintly, as if he had already thought of the name of the new world. Godless Realm? The Divine Ancestor and the Primal Chaos Ancestor looked at Feng Wuchen in surprise. Godless Realm. Ling Xiaoxiao nodded and looked at Feng Wuchen with a smile. Godless Realm, Dustless Realm, the name of the new world is very good. Haha. Hearing Ling Xiaoxiao's words, Feng Wuchen couldn't help but laugh. A world without gods? The Divine Ancestor nodded. In a world without gods, there is less evil and oppression, and more warmth. Ling Xiaoxiao chuckled. My wife is right. Feng Wuchen smiled, however, once the new world is born, it will not be our turn to control all the karma. All we can do is try to make this world as peaceful and stable as possible. Feng Wuchen is right. Everything in the world has a karma cycle. Since we can't control it, then we should try to reduce it. The Divine Ancestor smiled. Even so, my world is mine. No one can control it unless I die. Feng Wuchen said domineeringly in his heart. Feng Wuchen, a new world is a new beginning. The primal chaos ancestor smiled faintly. I believe that you will do better. The primal chaos ancestor is right. A new world is a new beginning. Feng Wuchen smiled happily. Next, it's time to bring our people to the godless realm. Husband, their cultivation is not high enough. Can they come to the godless realm? Ling Xiaoxiao asked doubtfully. This is the world I created. Whoever I want to come can come. No law under the godless realm can control it. Feng Wuchen smiled confidently. His seemingly calm words were full of dominance. The primal chaos ancestor nodded and said, Feng Wuchen is right. The divine realm is a world that he created. It is indeed up to him to decide. Anyone from the Dragon Temple can enter the divine realm. Since the supreme divine world has such a powerful ancient divine power and supreme Tao accumulation, this sacred ancestor will stay here to cultivate. The heavenly Tao sacred ancestor laughed happily. He couldn't wait to test his cultivation speed. Sacred ancestor heavenly Tao, patriarch primal chaos, you can cultivate wherever you want in the godless realm. The godless realm has already been born. Everything that needs to be done has been done. I can do the rest myself. Feng Wuchen said with a smile. I won't stand on ceremony with you. The primal chaos ancestor laughed happily. Wife, let's go back. The supreme god realm has already been born. We should bring father and the others over as soon as possible, as well as our precious daughter. Feng Wuchen laughed excitedly, wishing that he could immediately bring everyone in the Dragon Divine Palace to the Supreme God Realm. It's been a long time since I've seen little Xiaoxiao. I wonder how she is now. Ling Xiaoxiao laughed happily. She missed her very much. Sacred Ancestor Heavenly Tao, Patriarch Primal Chaos, we will return to the Primal Chaos Realm first. Feng Wuchen laughed, and then disappeared with Ling Xiaoxiao. After Feng Wuchen and Ling Xiaoxiao left, the sacred ancestor Heavenly Tao sighed and said, I didn't expect Feng Wuchen to create such a powerful world so easily. It seems that the primordial god accumulation is much more terrifying than we imagined. Master is right. The terror of the primordial god accumulation is simply unimaginable. The primal chaos ancestor nodded. Primal chaos mantra Dragon Temple. Xianxia, pass down the order. Everyone in the Dragon Divine Palace is to gather immediately. Feng Wuchen gave the order and then disappeared. Yes, sir. Xianxia respectfully accepted the order and immediately passed it down. The Dragon Divine Palace and the Dragon Soul Supremacy quickly gathered at the Dragon Divine Palace Square. However, they only saw Ling Xiaoxiao and did not see Feng Wuchen. They were all very puzzled. Xiaoxiao, where's big brother Feng? Lu Qingyang asked. Madam Supremacy, what are we doing? Jianqiu asked curiously. Everyone's gaze fell on Ling Xiaoxiao. Ling Xiaoxiao smiled and said, Everyone, get ready. We are about to head to the New World. New World? Everyone in the Dragon Divine Palace was shocked. In the Panga Divine Palace, Feng Wuchen appeared in a flash. Greetings, Master. Great Emperor Danfeng was the first to appear in a flash and respectfully welcomed Feng Wuchen. Are Primeval Lord and Master cultivating? Feng Wuchen asked with a smile. Grandmaster and the others are in the main hall. Master, please. Great Emperor Danfeng replied respectfully and immediately led Feng Wuchen into the main hall. In the main hall, Panga Shi, Primeval Lord, and many other supremacies were drinking tea and chatting. Seeing Feng Wuchen enter, Supremacy Peerless smiled happily and said, Good disciple, you're finally here to see us. Master, Senior Panga Shi, Senior Primeval Lord, I'm here to bring you to a place. Feng Wuchen went straight to the point. Where? Everyone looked at Feng Wuchen curiously. The New World. Feng Wuchen smiled mysteriously. At the same time, in the Chaos Divine Palace, the ancient Heavenly Emperor, the Chaos Mystical Fire Beast, and the other Chaos Divine Palace experts, as well as the Chaos Dragon Tribe experts, had already gathered at the square. Everyone was unusually excited. Obviously, they already knew what was going to happen. The Chaos Mystical Fire Beast should have already told you. You should be ready to go to the New World. Feng Wuchen smiled happily. Young Lord, we're all ready, the ancient Heavenly Emperor said excitedly. Everyone else also shouted. Very good. Who else wants to go? You can decide as soon as possible. We'll head to the new world soon. Feng Wuchen smiled happily. Meanwhile, Feng Wuchen's clones appeared in the Pangu world, ancient immortal world, sacred world, god world, heaven world, and mortal world. Feng Wuchen's appearance made the Feng family, Dragon God Palace, Dragon God Alliance, and other major forces ecstatic. It caused a sensation in countless worlds. Knowing that Feng Wuchen was going to take them to the new world, they were all overjoyed. One had to know that no matter which world it was, Feng Wuchen was a legendary existence. He was a role model for countless young people. Everyone, get ready. In an hour, we'll head to the new world immediately. Feng Wuchen's clones from various worlds spoke at the same time. Feng Wuchen was planning to take everyone from the Feng family and Dragon God Palace to the Supreme Divine World. An hour later, all the people from Dragon God Palace from various worlds disappeared into thin air. Whether it was the strongest Feng family in the mortal world, the strongest Dragon God Palace and Dragon Soul Venerable, or the powerhouses of various major forces related to Feng Wuchen, they all disappeared. At first, the various forces and countless cultivators from various worlds did not notice. But as time passed, the major forces from various worlds would discover that the powerful Feng family and Dragon God Palace had disappeared into thin air. No one knew where they went. The divine palaces of Feng family and Dragon God Palace were empty and became the most mysterious existence. All of this was like a dream, as if Feng family and Dragon God Palace did not exist. But all the powerhouses who knew Feng Wuchen knew that it was not that Dragon God Palace did not exist, but that it had gone to the new world. Heavenly Path. Feng Wuchen appeared in the Heavenly Path void. He glanced at the Heavenly Path world and said to himself, "Is this the Heavenly Path? It's indeed different. Master, no matter how strong the Heavenly Path is, it can't compare to the Supreme God world that Master created." Dragon Xinjian laughed excitedly. Of course. Feng Wuchen smiled proudly. Then, a terrifying primordial god accumulation aura spread out. Wherever the terrifying primordial god accumulation passed, the surrounding cultivators were frightened. They all felt like rabbits being targeted by a fierce tiger. This is the terrifying divine power that appeared in the Heavenly Path. Who is it that possesses such terrifying divine power? Does our Heavenly Path have such a terrifying expert? What kind of divine power is this? This divine power doesn't deliberately suppress my divine power, but I feel like my divine power has disappeared. Many experts were scared out of their wits. Swish. 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 Soon, figures appeared one after another. They were all top Heavenly Path experts. But the moment they saw Feng Wuchen, their faces changed drastically. Their expressions were filled with terror, but their hearts were abnormally excited. Greetings, Lord Saint God. The experts knelt down on one knee in fear. They had never seen Feng Wuchen before, but after the Supreme Master God gave the order, the Heavenly Path experts had all seen Feng Wuchen's appearance. Feng Wuchen was now the Heavenly Path Saint God, second only to the Heavenly Path and above everyone else. His status was extraordinary. No need to be so polite. You may leave. Feng Wuchen smiled faintly. Yes. The experts retreated respectfully. Feng Wuchen sensed slightly and sensed the aura of the Heavenly Path's strongest expert. He should be the Supreme Master God of the Heavenly Path, Feng Wuchen guessed. Supreme Master God, I'm Feng Wuchen. Feng Wuchen used the primordial god accumulation power to send a voice transmission to the Heavenly Path's strongest expert. In the Heavenly Path shrine, the Supreme Master God was shocked. He couldn't help but exclaim, Feng Wuchen. What? Feng Wuchen? The first elder and the other higher-ups in the hall were also shocked. Swish, in the next second, Feng Wuchen appeared in the sky above the heavenly shrine. They're here. The Supreme Chief God's expression changed drastically once more. The upper echelons immediately noticed this as well. Swish. Swish. The Supreme Master God, the Grand Elder, and the other upper echelons appeared in a flash right away. Everyone from the heavenly shrine also appeared one after another. Their faces were filled with shock and horror. When all of them saw Feng Wuchen, they were instantly dumbfounded. Wasn't this young man Feng Wuchen from the Chaos Realm, the man who had been conferred the title of Heavenly Tao Saint by the Supreme Core God? Feng Wuchen pays his respects to the Supreme Master God and the various elders and seniors. Feng Wuchen descended and cupped his fists politely. Saint God, there's no need to be so courteous. The Supreme Master God smiled politely. Although he appeared to be calm and collected, he was actually extremely nervous and fearful in his heart. That was right. The Supreme Master God was fearful. The Supreme Master God did not know why Feng Wuchen had suddenly come to the Heavenly Tao. The Grand Elder and the others were also extremely nervous and fearful in their hearts. Clearly, they were all worried that Feng Wuchen had come to the Heavenly Tao this time too. Deal with the Heavenly Tao. If that was really the case, no one in the Heavenly Tao could resist it at all. Greetings, Lord Saint God. Everyone from the Heavenly Shrine, including the Grand Elder, knelt down respectfully. Seniors, there's no need to be so courteous. Feng Wuchen smiled politely. However, Feng Wuchen's courteous smile made the Supreme Master God and the others feel much more at ease. The Saint God invites you in. The Supreme Master God smiled politely and even made an inviting gesture. In the entire Heavenly Tao, apart from Feng Wuchen, the Supreme Master God had never been so courteous to anyone else. It was obvious how wary the Supreme Master God was of Feng Wuchen. Supreme Master God, you're too courteous. Feng Wuchen smiled lightly. After entering the main hall, the upper echelon's expressions were still nervous. No one dared to speak or even look directly at Feng Wuchen. To them, the terror of the primordial god connotation was a constant shock. Saint God, may I know the reason for your visit to the Heavenly Tao? The Supreme Master God smiled and asked politely. Feng Wuchen went straight to the point. Supreme Master God, I've opened up a new world. I've come to the Heavenly Tao this time to ask if anyone in the Heavenly Tao is willing to head to the new world. New world? The Supreme Master God and the upper echelons all looked at Feng Wuchen in shock. Feng Wuchen had indeed opened up a new world. That's right. The new world is called the Godless World, and it's above the Heavenly Tao. The Godless World is already connected to the Heavenly Tao, so I've specially come to invite Heavenly Tao powerhouses to head there. Feng Wuchen smiled politely. The Supreme God World has already set up a heavenly tribulation. In order for the Heavenly Tao powerhouses to successfully ascend, the Heavenly Tribulation's divine power is not very strong now. I plan to give the Heavenly Tao 10,000 spots. Half a year later, the Supreme God World's Heavenly Tribulation will return to its original divine power. At this point, the Supreme Master God and the upper echelons were so shocked that they almost suffocated. Saint God, is the Supreme God World stronger than the Heavenly Tao? The Grand Elder asked hurriedly. That's right. Whether it's the world or cultivation realm, it's stronger than the Heavenly Tao. The spirit energy of the Supreme God World is primordial God power and Supreme Tao connotation. Anyone who heads to the Supreme God World can cultivate primordial God power and Supreme Tao connotation. However, it also depends on one's luck. Feng Wuchen nodded. Boom, as soon as he said that, all the upper echelons, including the Supreme Master God, felt their heads explode. They were greatly shocked once more. The spirit energy was primordial God power and Supreme Tao connotation. With the cultivation of a Supreme Master God, it's a piece of cake for you to go through the tribulation and ascend to the Supreme God World now. Feng Wuchen looked at the Supreme Master God and said with a smile, the Supreme God World has just been born. Right now, all kinds of powerful divine powers are being nurtured. All living things are being nurtured by my divine power. After the Supreme God World was born, I sensed a very unusual aura. There's a high chance that it will nurture a power that surpasses my divine power. Everyone, please make good use of this opportunity. The Supreme Master God and the upper echelons were so shocked that they were petrified. Looking at the incomparably shocked crowd, Feng Wuchen continued with a smile, the 10,000 slots will be decided by the Supreme Master God. Whoever wants to go, please be prepared to go through the tribulation. The Supreme God World welcomes all of you at any time. With that, Feng Wuchen got up and left, leaving behind the incomparably shocked crowd in the main hall. After an unknown amount of time, the Supreme Master God and the others finally snapped back to reality. Supreme Master God, are we going to ascend to the Supreme God World? The Grand Elder asked hurriedly. Everyone's gaze turned toward the Supreme Master God. They had been cultivating in the heavenly Tao for many years. It was extremely difficult for cultivators to improve further. The birth of the Supreme God world had undoubtedly given them a chance. Moreover, the heavenly tribulation's divine power in the Supreme God world was not that strong now. Even if they had not reached the peak of the heavenly Tao, they could still successfully go through the tribulation and ascend. On top of that, the spirit energy in the Supreme God world was primordial God power and Supreme Tao connotation. This was the divine power that they yearned for even in their dreams. The upper echelons were clearly tempted. The Supreme Master God considered for a moment. Then, he made up his mind and said, "Go through the tribulation and ascend to the Supreme God world." End of chapter. Feng Wuchen left the heavenly Tao and headed to the myriad of worlds. No God realm was extremely huge. Feng Wuchen needed to go to the myriad of worlds to find experts. Especially the Azura world. The cultivators of the Azura world were all dead people, and their souls had a certain chance of appearing in the Azura world. They had nothing to worry about, and only needed a chance to leave the Azura world and be reborn. As long as Feng Wuchen opened his mouth, there would definitely be many top experts willing to go to No God realm. No God realm had just been born, other than the Dragon Divine Palace and the cultivators related to the Dragon Divine Palace, or the cultivators that Feng Wuchen knew, there was no one else. Such a huge world still needed more cultivators. Of course, Feng Wuchen also knew that no God realm needed time to develop, and it was impossible to reach the heavens in a single step. Only after tens of millions of years did the Chaos realm become a world where experts were as common as clouds. If no God realm wanted to develop quickly, he had to inject more blood. For a few days, Feng Wuchen was busy running around the myriad of worlds. For the sake of no God realm, Feng Wuchen had to do it personally. "I've been running around so many worlds these past few days. It's really tiring." Feng Wuchen laughed helplessly. "Fortunately, I found a lot of cultivators. With them going to no God realm, it won't be too deserted." Although it was very tiring, it was all worth it. Feng Wuchen could personally witness the world that he had opened up slowly becoming stronger. "Master, no God realm is so big, these cultivators are still too few." Divine eyes transmitted respectfully. Feng Wuchen laughed bitterly. "Indeed, there are very few. We still have to continue looking." "Master, why are there so few spots in the various great worlds? Only the heavenly Tao gave us 10,000 spots." Xianxia asked in confusion. Feng Wuchen laughed indifferently. "The heavenly Tao is the strongest existence in the myriad of worlds. No God realm is connected to the heavenly Tao, and the cultivation of the heavenly Tao cultivators is closer to no God realm. Only in a world with strong cultivators will the weak work harder and cultivate harder. In a world, if there are weak people, there must be strong people. Isn't Master a strong person? And the heavenly Tao's divine ancestor?" Xianxia asked. "My cultivation is not as good as the heavenly Tao, it's just that my primordial godly essence is stronger." Feng Wuchen shrugged and smiled. "Because of this, I don't plan to go to the heavenly Tao. Master's divine power has already surpassed the heavenly Tao. Naturally, there is no need to go to the heavenly Tao. Creating the godless world is the best decision. Moreover, if you cultivate in the godless world, Master's cultivation will soon surpass the heavenly Tao, the divine," I said respectfully. "Master, you directly transcended the heavenly Tao and established the supreme divine world. I'm afraid you are the first person to do so." The Aeon Origin respectfully said. "The first?" Feng Wuchen smiled faintly. "Not only the first, but also the youngest and strongest." Xianxia transmitted his voice with a smile. "Haha." Feng Wuchen couldn't help but laugh loudly. Soon after, he transformed and disappeared, continuing to head to other worlds. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. Chaos Realm, Panga Realm, Ancient Immortal Realm, Sacred World, and other worlds with Dragon Temple slowly realized that Dragon Temple had disappeared for 3 years. The imposing palace of Dragon Temple was empty. In the past 3 years, no one from Dragon Temple had appeared in the various worlds. It's so strange. What happened to Dragon Temple? Why did they all disappear? Dragon Temple has been missing for 3 years. 3 years ago, I heard that Feng Wuchen came back, and then Dragon Temple disappeared. Where did the people of Dragon Temple go? What happened in the Dragon Temple? If they ascended, it's impossible for us not to know. It's been 3 years, and even the Dragon Soul Venerable of Dragon Temple hasn't seen them. Dragon Temple has disappeared for 3 years. Something must have happened. Otherwise, such a terrifying and powerful force would never disappear for 3 years for no reason. Everyone in Dragon Temple had disappeared for 3 years. The cultivators of various worlds were extremely puzzled. They didn't know what had happened. However, they only noticed that Dragon Temple had disappeared. They didn't notice that the powerhouses of other major forces had also disappeared. For 3 years, even if the Dragon God palaces of the various realms were empty, no cultivator dared to take even half a step into them. No one dared to get close to Dragon Temple. No one knew what had happened in the temple. However, there were rumors in the Chaos Realm that because Heavenly Dao Ancestral Master was killed by Feng Wuchen, it angered Heavenly Dao and led to a fatal disaster. From the day Dragon Temple disappeared, it had been wiped out by Heavenly Dao. Was the Dragon God Temple massacred? How is this possible? I thought everyone in Dragon Temple was cultivating in seclusion. Was it destroyed? That's right. Dragon Temple must have been destroyed by Heavenly Dao. Otherwise, how could it suddenly disappear for 3 years? Moreover, only a Heavenly Dao powerhouse can destroy the Dragon God Temple without a sound. Dragon Temple and Dragon Soul Venerable have all disappeared. They must have been completely destroyed by Heavenly Dao. After all, Feng Wuchen killed Heavenly Dao Ancestral Master. Heavenly Dao destroyed Dragon Temple? Are you kidding me? Heavenly Dao can't afford to offend Feng Wuchen. Don't listen to these rumors. After the news spread, countless forces in the Chaos Realm were shaken. Except for the transcendental forces, other forces didn't know what had happened to the disappearance of Dragon Temple. Dragon Temple had just risen in the Chaos Realm, and then suddenly disappeared for 3 years. Such a strange thing naturally aroused everyone's doubts. Dragon Temple had disappeared for 3 years. Now that the news came out, everyone believed it. Only the reason of its complete destruction could convince everyone in the Chaos Realm. Of course, there were also many powerhouses who didn't believe that Dragon Temple had been destroyed. Chaos Realm. In a mysterious space, a person appeared in a flash and knelt down respectfully to reporting to my lord, I've heard the news. Dragon Temple was not destroyed by Heavenly Dao, nor did it go to Heavenly Dao. It was Feng Wuchen who took Dragon Temple to a new world. New world? An old voice sounded in surprise, and then a black-robed old man appeared. This subordinate heard the news from the Chaos Divine Nation. It shouldn't be wrong. This new world is called the Supreme Divine Realm. It's a world opened by Feng Wuchen. The man reported respectfully. A world opened by Feng Wuchen? The black-robed old man was shocked again. His eyeballs were about to fly out, and he was completely dumbfounded. Feng Wuchen actually opened up a new world. The black-robed old man was none other than the original Chaos Divine Palace's third elder, Jian Wuhan. Reporting to my lord, this subordinate also heard that in addition to Dragon Temple, many powerhouses from Chaos Divine Palace and the major forces under them have also gone to the Supreme Divine Realm. The Chaos Monarch and the Chaos Ancestor Dragon have also gone to the Supreme Divine Realm. The man continued respectfully. They all went to the Supreme Divine Realm? Jian Wuhan's face was full of shock. My lord, almost all the top powerhouses in the Chaos Realm have gone to the Supreme Divine Realm. Now, there are not many who can compete with you. My lord, you don't have to hide anymore. The man said respectfully. Dragon God Supreme will continue to be updated on the website. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the website. If you like Dragon God Supreme, please bookmark. Dragon God Supreme's website updates the fastest. Hiding? You actually dare to say that the old man is hiding? Jian Wuhan's stunned old face instantly turned sinister as he blasted out a palm across the air. Boom! The terrifying divine power caused the subordinate to spit out blood on the spot as his figure flew out. Does the old man need to hide? The old man is cultivating in seclusion. They can't find the old man, and you actually dare to say that the old man is hiding? Jian Wuhan exploded in anger. Your Excellency, calm your anger. Your Excellency, spare my life. This lowly one knows his mistake. This lowly one knows his mistake. That person knelt down in horror and kowtowed to beg for mercy, scared out of his wits. Scram! Jian Wuhan roared angrily, scaring that person into retreating in horror. Jian Wuhan's fury soared to the sky as he roared ferociously. The old man finally broke through to the 9th-level Chaos Heavenly Empyrean realm with great difficulty. Feng Wuchen has already opened up a new world. How can a junior's cultivation surpass the old man's? Why is it like this? The old man is unwilling. After Dao ancestor Waning Moon was killed, Jian Wuhan had been cultivating in seclusion. His goal was to raise his cultivation and take revenge. Jian Wuhan relied on Dao ancestor Waning Moon's spatial divine artifact to cultivate, and his cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. Now, he was already at the 9th-level Chaos Heavenly Empyrean realm. With Jian Wuhan's current cultivation, he was absolutely one of the top powerhouses in the Chaos realm. But when he came out of seclusion, he learned that the Dragon God Temple had mysteriously disappeared for 3 years. Later, he learned that Feng Wuchen had actually killed Dao ancestor Jiao Xian, annihilated the Flame Race and the Dark Forces, and even killed the Heavenly Dao ancestral master. This meant that Feng Wuchen's cultivation had already surpassed Jian Wuhan's. Cultivating crazily, but in the end, he was still unable to take revenge. How could Jian Wuhan not be furious? When he finally found out the news, he learned that Feng Wuchen had already left the Chaos realm. Feng Wuchen had opened up a new world. Such a terrifying achievement was a heavy blow to Jian Wuhan. He simply could not accept it. Since they have all gone to the Supreme Divine World and can't take revenge on Feng Wuchen, the old man will destroy the Primal Chaos Temple. Jian Wuhan roared fiercely, and a terrifying killing intent erupted from him. The enraged Jian Wuhan immediately headed for the Primal Chaos Temple. Currently, in the Chaos Divine Hall, besides a few 8th-level Chaotic Heavenly Venerates, the Chaotic Mysterious Fire Beast, the Ancient Heavenly Emperor, and Ye Wuhuan had all gone to the Supreme Divine World. The Hall Master of the Chaos Temple was now a young man. Buzz! Jian Wuhan's terrifying divine power suddenly descended upon the Primal Chaos Divine Palace, causing the Primal Chaos realm space to tremble violently. Ninefold Chaos Heavenly Venerate. This aura belongs to the traitor Jian Wuhan. That's right. This was Jian Wuhan's aura. Jian Wuhan had delivered himself to his doorstep. Quickly report to the palace master and the elders. The experts of the Chaos Temple all sensed Jian Wuhan's terrifying divine power and appeared one after another. Today, I will completely destroy the Chaos Temple. Jian Wuhan's angry roar reverberated throughout the Chaos Temple, and a terrifying killing intent enveloped the Chaos Temple, suffocating everyone. Swish! Pfft! However, at the instant Jian Wuhan's figure flashed and appeared, a domineering and terrifying divine force suddenly pressed down on him. It terrified Jian Wuhan to the point that he spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. Jian Wuhan didn't even have time to act tough before he was severely injured on the spot. Jian Wuhan couldn't look cool for more than 3 seconds. What divine power is this? How is this possible? A 7th-level chaotic Grand Divine Master could injure me severely. Jian Wuhan's face changed drastically, and he was terrified. How could Jian Wuhan believe that a 7th-level chaotic Grand Divine Master could injure a 9th-level chaotic Heavenly Venerate? A young man walked out slowly from the main hall with a happy smile on his face. Ancient Emperor? Jian Wuhan's eyes widened in disbelief. The young man who walked out was the Ancient Heavenly Emperor's grandson, the Ancient Emperor. Jian Wuhan couldn't believe that the Ancient Emperor had been resurrected. Third Elder, you're finally here. The Ancient Emperor smiled happily as he walked up to Jian Wuhan. How is this possible? Jian Wuhan said in disbelief, aren't you dead? How are you still alive? Also, what's with your divine power? I am indeed dead, but because of my grandfather's outstanding battle achievements, the young Hall Master later revived me and decided to give me a chance to turn over a new leaf. He even bestowed me with a powerful divine power, and it was specially used to deal with you. This was an order from the young Hall Master. The Ancient Emperor smiled happily. The Chaos Patriarch even gave me the position of the Chaos Temple Master. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Dealing with me? Jian Wuhan was stunned. That's right. This is the chaos divine power that the young hall master has strengthened. The ancient emperor smiled proudly. The young hall master said that it's too easy to kill you with your strength. It's as easy as killing an ant. The young hall master didn't want to waste time, so he got me to do it. The ancient emperor's words enraged Jian Wuhan again. Feng Wuchen, you bastard. You didn't forget to deal with me even after leaving the chaos realm. Jian Wuhan roared in anger. His pale face was terrifying. Pfft. Jian Wuhan spat out another mouthful of blood as his injuries worsened. Seeing this, the ancient emperor turned pale with fright and hurriedly asked, Third Elder, are you all right? You have to hang in there. What are you waiting for? Come and help. The Chaos Temple elders and the others smiled but didn't say anything. No one moved. What are you waiting for? Come and help the Third Elder. I haven't made a move yet. I can't let the Third Elder die of anger, the ancient emperor shouted again. Everyone in the Chaos Temple couldn't help but laugh. Pfft. Jian Wuhan spat out another mouthful of blood after hearing the ancient emperor's words and everyone's laughter. Jian Wuhan wanted to roar, but he was too injured to do so. Third Elder, can you still hang in there? I'm about to make a move. You have to hang in there. Don't die of anger. I'm begging you, the ancient emperor said anxiously. Pfft. Jian Wuhan was so angry that his brain was bleeding. He spat out another mouthful of blood before collapsing. Third Elder. Third Elder. Don't die of anger, the ancient emperor said anxiously. However, he didn't do anything. Jian Wuhan's body twitched a few times before he finally stopped moving. Third Elder, the ancient emperor called out softly. Jian Wuhan still didn't move. Temple Master, Jian Wuhan died of anger. His aura has disappeared, Elder Qing Tian said with a smile. Temple Master, Jian Wuhan's aura has indeed disappeared, the second elder said. Oh? Died of anger? The ancient emperor was stunned. Then, he laughed excitedly. Haha. A 9th level Chaos Heavenly Venerate was angered to death by me. Haha. Jian Wuhan had never imagined that he would die of anger after cultivating crazily and breaking through to the 9th level Chaos Heavenly Venerate. Jian Wuhan thought that he could easily destroy the Chaos Temple. He didn't expect to be seriously injured by the ancient emperor's divine power and die of anger. It was too tragic. Grand Elder, I angered a 9th stage Chaos Heavenly Venerate to death. Should we announce this to the Chaos world? I'm definitely the first person in the Chaos world to anger a 9th stage Chaos Heavenly Venerate to death. The ancient emperor laughed excitedly. You're right. You're definitely the first person in the Chaos world to anger a 9th stage Chaos Heavenly Venerate to death. Elder Qing Tian laughed. Haha. Everyone burst into laughter. Hall Master, Jian Wuhan is dead. You can report this to the young Hall Master now. Don't forget the reward he promised you. An elder smiled faintly. Hearing this, the ancient emperor's eyes lit up. He laughed excitedly. That's right. The young Hall Master said that there will be a reward for me to make up for my mistakes. Young Hall Master, I angered Jian Wuhan to death. I've completed my mission. The ancient emperor immediately formed a seal with one hand and transmitted a message to Feng Wuchen. I got it. Feng Wuchen's voice was transmitted. The ancient emperor was extremely excited. His eyes were filled with anticipation. What reward would Feng Wuchen give him? However, the excited ancient emperor waited for an hour. When he didn't receive his reward, his face darkened. Feng Wuchen wouldn't be lying, right? Or did he forget? Hall Master, where's the reward? Elder Qing Tian asked. I don't know. The young Hall Master didn't give me any reward. I've been waiting for an hour. The ancient emperor was puzzled. Hall Master, did you ask? Second elder asked. The ancient emperor was stunned. He immediately asked, Young Hall Master, where's my reward? How would I know what you want if you didn't ask? I can't read your mind. If you don't tell me what you want, how would I know? If you didn't tell me, I would have thought that you didn't want it. Feng Wuchen's voice was transmitted. The ancient emperor was dumbfounded. He had waited for an hour for nothing. Young Hall Master, I want. The ancient emperor was just about to say what he wanted when Feng Wuchen transmitted a message. I'm in the longevity world now. I have something important to do. Wait until I return. Feng Wuchen's voice was transmitted. The ancient emperor was completely dumbfounded. Lifelong realm. What a strange aura. Is this the lifelong realm? Feng Wuchen's silhouette appeared in the air above the lifelong realm as he felt a different aura. After carefully sensing, Feng Wuchen muttered to himself, the terrifying divine energy I sensed are all in the lifelong realm. Their divine energy is extremely tyrannical, not losing out to the primordial divinity accumulation. Not only that, they are all extremely powerful alchemists. Their soul force is also terrifying. I didn't expect there to be such a powerful realm within the myriad of worlds. At the instant Feng Wuchen appeared, several peak experts from the lifelong realm instantly sensed his presence. A very domineering divine power. I have never seen such a powerful divine force before. This person's cultivation is extremely high, he is not someone from the immortal realm. What kind of divine power is this? For tens of millions of years, I have never seen a powerful divine power that could contend with my divine power. This person is not simple. This person's divine power is so strong that he can actually contend against our divine power. Moreover, he is a powerful alchemist. Did he come from an even more powerful world? Within the lifelong realm, the peak experts all had expressions of shock on their faces. Swish swish swish. Just as Feng Wuchen sensed for a while, several silhouettes suddenly flashed over. Waves of terrifying auras violently swept over as they sized up Feng Wuchen with heavy gazes. The 5 of them were actually young men, and their age was similar to Feng Wuchen. What a shocking aura. Extremely tyrannical. Their cultivation seems to have reached the peak of the lifelong realm, but their true strength is even more terrifying. In a one-on-one battle, I might not be a match for them. They are definitely the peak geniuses of the lifelong realm. Feng Wuchen was secretly shocked as he sized them up. Feng Wuchen faced the 5 of them. He didn't say anything, but their surging auras were clearly competing with each other. Feng Wuchen had the primordial godly accumulation and the protection of his eternal realm body, but when facing the auras of the 5 of them, he actually felt a powerful pressure. Their divine power is different, but they are all extremely tyrannical. The primordial godly accumulation is actually unable to suppress them. Feng Wuchen was even more shocked in his heart. He didn't dare to believe that there was actually such a terrifying divine power in this world. Who exactly is this brat? His divine power is actually so terrifying. One of the men was incomparably shocked. My divine power is unable to suppress his divine power. Even my soul force is unable to suppress it. Another man was also extremely shocked in his heart. I have never seen such a terrifying divine power. Who would have thought that such a divine power exists in this world? Another man was greatly shocked. Feng Wuchen was shocked by their terrifying divine power and soul force, but they were also shocked by Feng Wuchen's divine power and soul force. In a contest of divine power and auras, Feng Wuchen was at a disadvantage. After all, there were 5 of them. Feng Wuchen withdrew his divine power and aura. He smiled bitterly and said, "Your divine power and soul force are quite terrifying. Even if it's one-on-one, I'm afraid I won't be your opponent. Your Excellency is too modest. Your divine power and soul force are also very tyrannical. We have never seen them before. If it's one-on-one, I'm afraid we have no chance of winning." One of the men spoke. The 5 of them also withdrew their divine power and aura. The man in the lead frowned and asked, "Your Excellency, who are you? May I know your purpose in coming to the world of immortals?" "I am Feng Wuchen, from the Supreme Divine World." Feng Wuchen politely cupped his fist and smiled faintly. Supreme Divine World? The few young men frowned at the same time. Obviously, they had never heard of it. We have never heard of the Supreme Divine World. However, we do know of the Primal Chaos World and the Heavenly Tao. One of the young men shook his head slightly. The Supreme Divine World is a new world I opened 3 years ago. Before that, I was in the Primal Chaos realm. After searching through the myriad worlds for 3 years, I accidentally found out about the existence of the world of immortals. Feng Wuchen smiled faintly and said, "You are the ruler of the myriad worlds?" Hearing this, the expressions of the few young men changed greatly. They looked at Feng Wuchen in shock. "You all know about the ruler of the myriad worlds?" Feng Wuchen also looked at them in shock. Feng Wuchen had never heard of the world of immortals. Moreover, this was his first time here. However, these people actually knew about him, the ruler of the myriad worlds. The young man in the lead smiled faintly and said, "It seems like the primal chaos ancestor didn't tell you. Before he passed on the title to you, he came looking for us. It's just that we declined. The ruler of the myriad worlds isn't suitable for us." Another young man smiled faintly and said, "Moreover, the world of immortals has already jumped out of the myriad worlds. The primal chaos ancestor came looking for you?" Feng Wuchen widened his eyes in shock. His face was filled with disbelief. Feng Wuchen really didn't know about this matter. The primal chaos ancestor also didn't mention it. "May I know your names?" After being shocked, Feng Wuchen quickly asked. He was very curious about their identities. "I am Ling Outyen. I am Lin Yuan. I am Xiaochen. I am Jiang Yunfan. I am Ye Tianxing." Ling Outyen and the other four were very polite. Feng Wuchen also cupped his fists to show his respect. "Brother Feng, what kind of power is your divine power? We have never seen such a terrifying divine power before." Ling Outyen asked curiously. "Your divine power's aura is very strange. It contains a powerful Tao," Xiaochen added. Feng Wuchen smiled politely and said, "This is the divine power born from the fusion of ancient divine power and supreme Tao." Fusion of ancient divine power and supreme Tao? Ling Outyen and the other four were shocked. They looked at Feng Wuchen as if they were looking at a monster. "I can see that your divine power is very terrifying. It is not any weaker than my ancient divine power. It should also be born through fusion. The reason why I came to the world of immortals was because I sensed your divine power." Feng Wuchen smiled faintly and said, "You are right. That is why the divine power born from fusion is so powerful. Later on, it was merged with Tao." Nye Tianqing nodded slightly. "Such a powerful divine power and supreme Tao. You dare to try it. You are very brave," Jiang Yunfan said in admiration. "I had no choice." Feng Wuchen smiled faintly and said, "Aren't you guys the same? Oh right, since you know about the chaos world and heavenly Tao, and have already cultivated powerful ancient Tao, why don't you go to heavenly Tao?" Feng Wuchen asked. The world of immortals is similar to the chaos world. They are both worlds created by powerful ancestors. As for heavenly Tao, we don't want to go. We might as well stay in the world of immortals. Ling Outyen smiled faintly. "Don't want to go?" Feng Wuchen was stunned. Xiaochen smiled faintly and said, "We have some grudges with heavenly Tao." "I see." Feng Wuchen nodded. He quickly extended an invitation, "Since that's the case, let's head to the Supreme Divine World. Right now, there are already many cultivators from thousands of worlds in the Supreme Divine World. I came to the lifelong world to find experts to head to the Supreme Divine World. The Supreme Divine World is above the heavenly Tao." Feng Wuchen didn't want to miss out on the 5 powerful geniuses. This? Ling Outyen and the other 4 looked at each other. They were hesitant, but they also seemed to be tempted. After all, Ling Outyen and the others had been in the lifelong realm for many years. Even if they could improve their cultivation base, it wouldn't be by much. If not for the enmity with the heavenly Tao back then, they would have already headed to the heavenly Tao. The spirit chi of the Supreme Divine World is made up of ancient godly power and supreme Tao accumulation. Maybe it can make your godly power even stronger. Besides, the new world is just beginning. Maybe it will give birth to even stronger godly power in the future. Feng Wuchen continued with a smile, "You can bring anyone you want to the Supreme Divine Realm. I can even let the cultivators of the world of immortals ascend to the Supreme Divine Realm in the future." Seeing Feng Wuchen's invitation, Ling Outyen thought for a while and said, "All right, let's go to the godly realm together." "Well, I have no problem with that. My wife and the others must be very happy," Xiaochen said with a smile. Jiang Yunfan spread out his hands and smiled, "I have no objections." Since you've decided, let's go together. We've stayed in the lifelong realm for too long. The world of experts is more suitable for us. Lin Yuan happily laughed. That's great. The Supreme Divine Realm welcomes you. When the time comes, the Supreme Divine Realm will definitely become incomparably powerful. Feng Wuchen was overjoyed. Brother Feng, it's rare for you to come to the lifelong realm. Why don't you stay for a few days and tell us about the opening of the new world? Ling Outyan said with a smile. Okay. Feng Wuchen agreed without hesitation. Time flew by quickly. The Dragon Temple of the various realms had slowly become a legendary existence. The empty and imposing Dragon Temple had been preserved intact for many years. No one dared to destroy it, let alone disrespect it. The descendants of the various realms only knew about the Dragon Temple from the mouths of their ancestors. The legendary deeds of Feng Wuchen had been passed down from the various realms. He was hailed as the youngest and strongest person in the various realms. Feng Wuchen's existence became the strongest person worshipped in the hearts of the younger generation. He was also the goal of cultivation. Even though many years had passed, the major forces of the various realms knew about the Dragon Temple. The younger generation often talked about it together. The rumor that the Dragon Temple was destroyed by the heavenly axiom that spread in the chaotic realm was later denied. The story of Feng Wuchen killing the heavenly axiom's founder and deterring the heavenly axiom spread throughout the chaotic realm. The heavenly axiom did not dare to provoke Feng Wuchen. As for why he disappeared, it was said that the Chaos Ancestor appeared later and said that he had left the chaotic realm. Although the Dragon Temple had left, Feng Wuchen was still the master of the myriad realms. Now in the chaotic realm, the Dragon Temple had also become a legendary existence. However, it had been passed down by the ancestors of the various major forces. The Chaos Temple, the Chaos Dragon Tribe, the Chaos Divine Nation, the Infernal Spirit Divine Nation, the Flame God Temple, the Slaughter God Temple, and other major forces had spread the story of the Dragon Temple. Because of these major forces, the younger generation of the chaotic realm also regarded Feng Wuchen as the strongest person in their hearts. Time flew. 1,000,000 years later, Feng Wuchen was already the strongest person in the Supreme Divine Realm. He often brought Ling Xiaoxiao to the myriad realms to play. Husband, which world are we going to next? Ling Xiaoxiao asked happily. We're not far from the chaotic realm. Why don't we go back and take a look? Didn't the Chaos Ancestor say that the chaotic realm has built the myriad world's divine residence and my statue? Feng Wuchen smiled gently. I haven't been to the chaotic realm for 1,000,000 years. It's good to go back and take a look. Ling Xiaoxiao smiled happily. Chaotic realm, myriad world's divine residence. In the divine residence, a lifelike dragon statue stood in the plaza. At the same time, there was also a statue of Feng Wuchen. Although the Dragon Temple that had disappeared for 1,000,000 years had become a legend, it still lived in the hearts of the major forces. At this moment, in the Divine Residence Plaza, an injured youth stood up and looked up at the statue. His eyes were filled with determination and indignation. Feng Wuchen, you've lost. Don't look anymore. It's useless. The Dragon Temple is just a legend. It might not really exist. The statue is just fooling us. I don't believe in the Dragon Temple. A youth sneered proudly. Feng Wuchen clenched his fists. A fierce look flashed across his sword-like brows. I haven't lost yet. The Dragon Temple must exist. The legend must be true. Roar. At this moment, a majestic dragon roar suddenly sounded above the void. The sudden dragon roar frightened everyone in the divine abode. Everyone looked at the void. They didn't know if they didn't look, but when they did, they were shocked. A giant dragon was soaring in the void. Dragon! Giant dragon! The divine residence students exclaimed at the same time. The dragon gods have always existed. A majestic voice sounded above the void. A vast aura instantly swept across the area. The voice seemed to resound throughout the chaotic realm. Almost at the same time, the top experts of the major forces in the chaotic realm opened their eyes. Lord of the myriad realms. The experts of the major forces exclaimed at the same time. Their faces were filled with ecstasy and excitement. At this moment, above the myriad world divine residence, a giant dragon descended from the sky and immediately transformed into Feng Wuchen, standing on the statue. Lord of the myriad realms, Feng Wuchen. The dragon gods have appeared. It's really the dragon gods. The legendary dragon gods have actually appeared. The giant dragon and Feng Wuchen are exactly the same as the statue. Seeing Feng Wuchen's true body, the divine residence students exclaimed. In the blink of an eye, Feng Wuchen came in front of Feng Wuchen and smiled at the shocked and stiff Feng Wuchen. The dragon gods are not legends. The chaotic realm's dragon temple is the best proof. Feng Wuchen suddenly felt a burning sensation between his eyebrows and was awakened. There was an additional dragon soul mark between his eyebrows. This is the dragon soul of the dragon gods. It will grant you the powerful divine power of the dragon gods. Feng Wuchen's voice sounded, but he had already disappeared. Dragon gods, dragon soul. The divine power of the dragon gods. The dragon gods really exist. Feng Wuchen's face was filled with shock and disbelief. He felt that all of this was a dream. Feng Wuchen had actually granted him the dragon soul of the dragon gods. Not long after, the myriad realms divine residence's mansion master and upper echelons rushed out. Unfortunately, Feng Wuchen had already left. Mansion master. We saw the giant dragon. We saw the lord of the myriad realms, Feng Wuchen. Mansion master. The dragon gods really exist. They're not legends. Many students shouted excitedly. Farewell, lord of the myriad realms. The mansion master and elders bowed respectfully. Buzz buzz. At this moment, Feng Wuchen erupted with the divine power of the dragon gods. His aura was extremely domineering. His divine power surged out like a volcanic eruption. Feng Wuchen's combat strength instantly soared by more than 10 times. The divine power of the dragon gods. The mansion master and elders exclaimed. The many students of the divine dwelling stared with their eyes wide and mouths agape. Swoosh, in an instant, a golden light burst out. Feng Wuchen arrived in an instant and punched out. His attack was overbearing and fierce. The terrifying wind from his punch swept out like a storm. However, Feng Wuchen's punch stopped in front of the young man. The young man who was previously proud of himself was so frightened that he collapsed to the ground. He felt powerless and looked at Feng Wuchen in horror. Is this the divine power of the dragon gods? It's too terrifying. The Lord of the myriad realms actually granted me the divine power of the dragon gods. Feng Wuchen was extremely shocked and dumbfounded. At this moment, Feng Wuchen and Ling Xiaoxiao appeared in the sky above the chaotic domain. Their overbearing and terrifying primordial god aura instantly spread throughout the chaotic domain. The Lord of the myriad realms. The Lord of the myriad realms has appeared. Young master. The young master is back. Feng Wuchen is indeed back. For a moment, the experts of the various forces in the chaotic domain, as well as countless cultivators, exclaimed when they felt this terrifying yet familiar divine power. The myriad realms divine residence students were once again in an uproar. Swoosh. Swoosh. Swoosh, figures appeared one after another. In the blink of an eye, millions of experts appeared in the sky above the chaotic domain. More and more experts rushed over. Greetings, Lord of the myriad realms. Greetings, Madam of the myriad realms. Millions of experts knelt on one knee respectfully. Their respectful voices spread rapidly and resounded throughout the chaotic domain. The dragon gods have not disappeared and are not legends. The dragon gods are the most powerful existences in the myriad realms. The dragon gods are now in the divine world. The divine world welcomes all of you at any time. Feng Wuchen's majestic voice resounded throughout the chaotic domain. End of chapter 4264. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video to support the channel.